Hola, everyone. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, good evening. My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr., the Director of Marketing and Communications for La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, welcoming you to tonight's En Casa con la Plaza. En Casa con la Plaza is La Plaza de Cultura's virtual programming. We've been doing this since April of 2020, since the pandemic began. We've been bringing you the best of our community's history, art, and culture from our home to yours via these presentations, conversations, demonstrations, and performances. Our sponsors tonight, PepsiCo and Kaiser Permanente, thank you so much to our sponsors. If you joined us on Zoom, use the chat feature and the Q&A feature. We'll be taking questions, we'll do shout outs, and we'll ask our participants at the end of the program. If you've joined us on Facebook, use the comment section to ask questions, make comments. All of you, let us know where you're viewing from. Share with your friends. Tonight, every other Friday, we have with us the happiest time of the week, happy hour with Dan Guerrero. So let's join Dan Guerrero, or have him join us for tonight's En Casa con la Plaza. Please join us, Dan.
Here I am, and I just, unfortunately, my drink tonight, look at, I forgot the olives. Man, what the hell, right? That's all right. How are you?
It's the alcohol that counts. You know, the olives are.
That's the truth. Yeah, those olives take up too much room in the glass, right? Isn't that what they say? You know.
That's what they say.
So here we are, another happy hour. How many have we done now? 400, 500?
We're at least 30. By my best estimations. You've had some outstanding guests.
Amazing
happy hours. Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so grateful. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out, but Eddie Olmos, Gregory Nava, Cheech, Vicky Carla, Marisol, Lucy Arnez, Los Lobos, Linda Ronstadt. I mean, really, you got to admit, I've got quite a phone book.
You sure do. That Rolodex of yours, or I imagine now it's your contact on your iPhone, is tremendous. But we thank you so much.
Now nobody will accept my calls because they're afraid they'll be dragged to the happy hour. But I like it. So, you know, a couple weeks ago I had my vaccination, so I'm all Pfizered up and stuff. So adding to entering the world again, I had my teeth whitened this weekend. Look.
Oh my God, the glare.
Right?
Please.
No, actually, what I like is if they're all mine, number one. Number two is that my dentist said only 2 shades up, because really, you see some people, the teeth walk into the room 5 minutes before they do. You know, you don't want it that white. They look whiter here, but they look natural. Anyway, so I'm ready to face the world. So tonight I'm excited because we have, everybody loves these two. Oh my God. And I was thinking, if it wasn't for Lupe and Luis Valdez, this would be the Latino theater couple. But, you know, let's face it, it's hard to beat Lupe and Luis, but I love these. We have a twofer tonight. So if you go away, I'm going to introduce these two people that I love.
Adios, Dan, and we'll see you soon.
So most know that he is a renowned director and emeritus professor from the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, artistic director, and why am I looking down here? Artistic director and founding founder of the Latino Theatre Company. And she is an acclaimed actress, playwright, co-founder of Latino Theatre Company. And they together, they run the Los Angeles Theater Center. Now, for those outside of LA, it's a beautiful, beautiful complex of 4 theaters, I believe. So we're going to talk about all those things. And together with them is the operative word, because I have this great photo of them. I love it. Can we see it, Abelardo? Hello. Hello. Earth to Abelardo. Come in, please. Look at them. Until that photo, I had no idea Jose Luis was ever young. Look at him. Please welcome Evelina Fernandez and Jose Luis Valenzuela. There you go. Hello.
Everybody. Thanks for having us, Dan.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this. What a beautiful background you have there too.
He was never young. He was never young. In that photograph, I think he was 2 months old.
I believe, the funny thing is, Jose Luis is far younger, much younger than I am, but I always looked to him as the older, scholarly, distinguished gentleman. So when I saw him young, I'm like, whoa, he used to be young, but he's still young. He's still young. And you are both so beloved in our community. You know you are. Everybody loves the two of you. So thank you for coming on, and we're going to get some good stuff going here.
Thanks for having us, Dan. It's our pleasure.
You know, it's so hard to figure out where to go. I thought we would start with the obvious, which is the Latino Theatre Company and the Los Angeles Theater Center, and how that connect came, because of course, as we talked a little earlier today, you know, we go back, I was on the board of the Latino Theatre Company in the late 80s, along with our very honorable politico Gil Cedillo.
Yeah.
And we were all there, and I know he is still a big supporter, as I am, of the theater. So it goes back a long way. But which came first? Because the Latino Theatre Company was at LATC at that time. You weren't running it at that time. So how did that, what came first? Tell us that kind of history.
The Latino, yeah, we were born at the LATC.
I believe.
We were the Latino Theater Lab. So Lucy Rodriguez, who's, you know, part of our company,
Sure.
you know, it's not just Jose Luis and I who run the LATC, it's our company, the Latino Theatre Company, which includes Lucy Rodriguez, Sal Lopez, Jeffrey Rivas, and us.
So you all run the center. You all have responsibilities in running the center.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
This is the artistic director, and the rest of the company were associate artistic directors. So Lucy Rodriguez from our company, she always says, we walked into that building in 1985 and we never left because we started the Latino Theater Lab there.
In 1985,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they were building the center in 1985, and they were gonna open in October or during that, in the fall of 1985. And we had done a small play in East LA, somewhere in a little tiny theater called El Jorge Negrete, and Bill Bushnell and Diane White had come to see the play, but it was just Evelina and I at the time. And they invited me for lunch and say, what do you want? And he said, well, a rehearsal room twice a week, so we can, you know, do reading, or we'll just train actors and talk about Latino theater. And he said, fine, you have it. And then I asked for a job. I said, do you have a job? And they say, not really. You know, we were married, we had a son. He goes, not really. The only job is in accounting. And I go, I'm a great accountant. Oh,
Were you lying? Were you lying?
yeah, I was not an accountant,
But you know a lot about accounting.
but I know a lot about finances and money and that. And so they say, great. So they hired me, and I was in the accounting department for the first year, and having the lab at nights and the rehearsal room. That's really how we began. And then, you know, we started, we got a group of people together, because Evelina knew a lot of the actors in Los Angeles, because I was coming from Santa Barbara, from Chicano Theater, but she was in Sud, she knew Lupe and Sao, she knew everybody in LA who was working in theater or in film. So we brought them all together. We say, why don't we, you know, create a lab where we can train and talk and figure out, create a home for the Latino artists. And, you know, the LATC was the place. And they say, yeah, come over here.
And so actually you were among the first tenants. I mean, the first ones to really be, because it was an old beautiful bank building, right? And converted into this complex. So you were among the first tenants, as it were.
We were part of the first wave when the theater opened.
Mhm.
Now, why did you start with you and Evelina? You say you started this lab. Why did you start that lab? You wanted to create your own product, or obviously you saw that nobody else was doing it. So what prompted your creating it really prior?
Yeah, I mean, when we came to LA, in the Bilingual Foundation of the Arts, if you remember,
Sure.
was a very prominent theater, but it was more classical, bilingual theater. And we were coming from doing Chicano theater, which is basically, talking about the U.S., the Chicanos story, the Chicano life, the Chicano plays, and nobody, meaning Luis had El Teatro Campesino, and they were in San Juan Bautista, pero in LA we didn't have anybody really who was doing that at the time, and that was one of the beginning, the impetus, and having a place, to get together, to read plays, to
Sure.
write.
Well, as you say, it was a voice not being heard. We do have a photo of the exterior of the. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous building, and what is 4 theaters? It's 4.
Well, we
How
have
many?
5 spaces now because we converted what was the gallery downstairs into
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
performance space. So,
Luis
Wow.
and it's called the Luis Avalos Theater.
Oh, Luis Avalos. I don't want to go there, but but I'm saying the people that we have lost that were part of our family,
Yes.
Luis and Lupe, and of course our beautiful Diane. It's
Ghetto Theater too.
yes, yes. Now, when I croak, will you name the trash bin after me? Please, I'd be so happy.
That is nothing big enough. That is nothing big enough for
There's
Dan
not
Guerrero.
a theater big enough.
There's not a stage, a light bright enough. But it's interesting because I know, of course, Evelina, I'm jumping around here. So Abelardo's wondering, where do I put this photo? But it'll all be fine. I know, Evelina, you're an Islos girl, born and raised, right? I was raised, but born in Tucson, so Islos. But Jose Luis, I had no idea that you were actually born in San Francisco.
Yes.
But brought up in Sinaloa, Los Mochis. Now, that sounds like a story there. How did that come about?
It's a long story. My mother.
Make it short.
My mother was born in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh,
And then, during the big repatriations and deportations
yes.
in the 30s, they took her entire family, my grandparents and her 13 children, back to Mexico.
Wow, during the repatriation.
Right. And my mother was the only one who didn't want to come back because she married my father, but everybody else in my mother's family came back. So of course, like an old Mexican family, every time you're going to have a child, you go and have the child with your mom, yeah, which in this case was my grandmother. So my mother would have come and have her children with my grandmother. So that's how everybody was an American, but we were all Mexicanos from Mexico.
I had no idea you had Arizona roots.
Yeah.
We both do. We both do.
You too, mija? Tell me how, where?
Oh, my mom was born in Jerome, Arizona.
Oh, mining town.
Yeah, so my grandparents came from Mexico during the Mexican Revolution, and they landed in Jerome, Arizona, and my grandfather worked in the mines. So that's where my mother was born. And then my dad was also born in Arizona, in Sonora, Arizona. So
Wow.
yeah, so
I love that.
yeah, so some of my brothers and sisters are born in Arizona. I'm born in LA, but I was born at the White Memorial Hospital in Boyle Heights. And then when I was 6 months old, my parents moved back to Phoenix. So I lived part of my childhood in Phoenix. And then when my parents divorced, we came back and moved into my grandparents' house in East LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was surprised. Luis Valdez did the happy hour a couple weeks ago. And I had no idea that his people, not only it turns out we're related through my grandmother and his grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what? And pero he said, oh, well, my family lived on Meyer Street, which is where my dad lived, there in the barrio, but it's always funny there because every time we'd go through the barrio, my dad was, oh, we used to live there. And then 2 blocks later, and we still live there 2 blocks later. I said, what were you, on the lam? No, pero in those days, either they couldn't pay the rent, so they'd sneak out at night. Pero come on, the barrio was 20 by 20 feet. You can't hide. But I think as more kids came along, they needed, but yeah, Luis and Meyer Street's old Arizona roots with all of us, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people we know have Arizona roots. I've run into people who parents in Jerome, Arizona. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Jerome, Ajo, all those towns. Well, the mining industry brought so many families there, brought
yeah.
so many families there. What, before we leave LATC and the Latino Theatre Company, which is still going strong, I know. What is the state of Latinx, Latino theater here in the US? I know with groups like the Latinx Theater Alliance, which is a big thing. I know you're very involved in that, right? Trying to connect, because there's all these theaters all over the country, like the Milagro up in Portland that's been there 40 years, and of course the Campesino, and they're all over Denver. And so the idea is to bring you all together to support each other. What exactly is the Latinx Theater Alliance? What is it?
Well, the Latino Theatre Commons, which in Boston, is the national umbrella for all the alliances in the different regions.
Mhm.
And the idea was, in 2011, 2012, we figured out with another 8 people that we really did not know the field of the Latino theaters in the United States. And we wanted to know where are people doing theater? What are they doing? How they do it? Why do they do it? So the Latino Theatre Commons was born in 2012 in a big conference when we invited everybody who was doing Latino theater. And you'll be surprised. Meaning there is right now in our database around 122 Latino theater companies in the United States.
Wow. Doing both English and Spanish, or some bilingual, some just English?
Some do Spanish, or some do, but mostly, mostly English and Spanish.
Mhm.
The big majority of the people. And it's very exciting, to know that there are theater companies where you don't expect them to be, and it's really,
Yes.
they need to know that there are other people in other towns that exist and doing theater. So that's been really exciting. That's really why the alliance is so important, to unify, at least in the region, the Latino theaters in Los Angeles, the Latino theaters in California, the Latino theaters in the West Coast, because there are theaters in San Diego, and I don't know, and Brawley, and so many other little towns. So the idea is to stay connected so we can help.
Sure.
Yeah, the Latino theater, the LA Latino Theater Alliance is,
because there's chapters.
typically for, so there's the Latino Theater Commons, and then there's the LA Latino Theater Alliance. So those are the companies that are within the greater Los Angeles area.
Yeah, your mentee, Armando Wipe.
Sure.
He right now is the head or the director of the Latino Theatre Commons at the national level,
Yeah.
which is super important. So he plays an incredible leadership role in the nation about Latino theaters.
Yeah, and also, Armando, he used to work, well, he worked for you, and then he went to the LATC because you introduced him to us.
Right. But here's the funny thing. When I was invited to teach a course at UCLA based on my solo show, and he was my student, and he was an English major. And at the end of the 10 weeks, he changed to a theater major. And of course, I thought, good, we got another sucker here, And it became, but what I loved is he didn't want to be an actor. He wanted to be a theater administrator, which is what we really need. We got plenty of actors. We still want more, but it's somebody who wanted to do that. So he's done really well.
Then he went to Yale's
School of Drama.
Yeah. In administration.
Yeah. Administration. So you did very well with that mentee.
It was so funny. He said, I'm changing my major. I thought, another sucker. We got another one. We have a photo I love. Again, you're very young, Jose Luis, as you are. Look at that photo. I love that. Sal Lopez, who we also love. Tell us about that. Were you guys already a couple then, or were you?
Yeah, we were already a couple, and that was when we were doing the Latino Theater Lab that we talked about, that we started at the LATC in 1985. So Sal, who I met doing Zoot Suit, is, a lifelong friend. And so, like Jose Luis said, I just invited all my friends to be part of this lab. And so that's the one of the rehearsals we used to do, theater exercises and stuff like that. So that's Jose Luis guiding us through a theater exercise.
Oh, what better than to do something you love with people you love? I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? To work with people you love and care about and who have your same vision. And there is that group that, during this terrible pandemic, what I've said so many times, this is never going to end. When are we going to go to LATC and run into 40 people we love that we never get to see, and we're hugging and kissing in photos? And that's what LATC is. It's like a home to the Latino community. It is. You've created not only a cultural entity there, but it's a home to all of us,
I'm always surprised when people post photographs of, good memories and stuff. And I go, oh, they're in our lobby.
Yes.
Oh, that's in our lobby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, how many great things on the red carpet there and in front of the step and repeat. No, it's everyone's second home. There's another photo with somebody else we love, which shows the family that we all are. There you are with Herbert Sigüenza.
Yeah, Herbert Sigüenza. That is at a Tenaz festival in San Francisco. That's when we first met Herbert. He was in a group called Teatro
Gusto. It probably was the first LGBTQ theater company.
Wow.
In 1981. And it was, they were dealing with those issues in the play they performed in 1981.
So a funny thing is that when I first met Herbert, he was like flirting with me, and Jose Luis was like getting jealous and stuff. He goes, he's in Teatro Gusto. He doesn't like women.
Little knowing that he was straight as an arrow, and still is, as far as we know.
Well, I knew he was straight, but it was a good way to get there.
That is funny. That all, of course, preceded Culture Clash, right? That's pre-Culture Clash.
Yeah, that was before Culture Clash. So we knew Herbert, way before Culture Clash. And then when we had the lab at the LATC, and Jose Luis was able to bring people to perform there. That's when he first brought Culture Clash, to do the mission. At,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We did the mission, but also, if you remember, we also did Latins Anonymous.
Oh yeah, with Diane and
Chris Franco, and Armando Molina, and Luis Alechín, and Rick Nájera. I mean, they were the five and that was, at the time we were the lab, but we were given the platform to be able to bring people to present and to help and produce. And you remember, meaning you were always been a pioneer for everything, but if you remember the Noche de Risa y Susto that,
of course,
you created and produced with us, that was like trying to get comedians in. You remember? What a great,
I mean, remember George Lopez performed.
Everybody, and there's other people who claim to have created the first Latino comedy night, but Noche was the absolute first.
That was it. Yeah,
absolute first.
You did that, Dan.
And you know what about George Lopez? Do you know that's how George met his wife Anne?
Yes.
Because I was casting a film at Disney, which is how it all started with Jose Luis. Well, I was on the board, and Jose Luis wanted to do a big event built around the Day of the Dead.
Right.
That was how it started. Yeah. And I said, what's that? No, but now it's big, but nobody was doing Day of the Dead in the 80s.
Back then, nobody was.
No, and Jose Luis wanted to do a real authentic thing. And I was casting this feature at Disney, and there was a part for a funny Latino, believe it or not, which eventually went to Grodin. What's that actor's name? Grodin. What's his name? Yeah, he got the role, by the way. But I was hired to do a national talent search for Latino talent. And that's where I first found Culture Clash up in San Francisco, Marga Gomez, Larry Barrientos. There was a whole bunch of them. And so I said to Jose Luis, what if we did, a juxtaposition, the very traditional, home thing. And then you go into this hip theater night of comedy, and that's how that was born. But I remember so well that first night, the comics were backstage practically in tears of happiness going, I'm always the only Latino on any lineup. And they all, it was fantastic. And we did 4 or 5 of them, I think, as fundraisers.
It was so great.
It was
And Anne was my assistant in casting, and I asked her to help me that night. And then George was performing that night. That's how they met.
Oh, okay.
A lot of good it did her. But
but I didn't know that Anne was assisting you. I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah, that's how. And I asked her to help me out that night, and that's how she and George met. Interesting. And see, life is there. Now let's talk about the actriz. The actriz.
Okay.
So I'm sure you've been asked 5,000 because of course you're an actress and of course a renowned playwright. So I'm sure everybody asks you, which do you prefer? I mean, they've got to be equal for you, I'm quite sure. Are they?
I guess at a certain, it changes. It changed over the years, right? Because I remember I had a literary agent who asked me, are you interested in writing for television? I was like, oh no, right? Because I wanted to be, an actress. But, that changed over the years. I mean, I love performing still on stage, but what I don't like is auditioning.
Yeah. It's ugly. It's ugly.
And so if I don't have to go through that part of the process, I'm happy, to work in film and TV. But if I do have to go through it, I would just rather not do it. And I really love writing. I started writing when I was at Rowan Avenue Elementary School in East LA. So I had a great teacher and I started writing short stories. And so those short stories would be published in the little East LA newspaper and stuff. So there's a love for writing that I've had since I was a child, because my very first memory is of my mom reading books to me. Because I was a really sickly child. I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And so my mom would sit there and just read books. So I couldn't read, but I memorized the pages.
You saw the power of words. You saw the power of words.
And so,
so are you saying that kind of as opposed, everyone gets hit by the acting bug because they saw a movie, they saw a play, but you were actually interested in writing before the acting?
And then when I was cast in Zoot Suit, I mean, when Luis Valdez cast me in Zoot Suit, he basically, I guess I was in Chicano Theater. I was basically doing street theater, right? Just like in the parks, at protests, that kind of thing. I didn't have any kind of formal acting training. And so I was working at Hollenbeck Junior High School as a TA when I was going to Cal State LA, and with the guys from Los Lobos, they were also
It's all one big incestuous family. That's the bottom line.
I went to Garfield High School.
With
Los Lobos also, we were all there at the same time. Los Lobos, Patsy Valdez. I mean, we didn't know each other. We didn't hang out with each other, but we were all there at the same time. And so I was there. And then a friend of mine, who's still my friend, Irma Garcia, said, they're having auditions for a play by Luis Valdez. And I was like, who's Luis Valdez? And then so she basically forced me to go to this audition. And I walked into the annex building there at the Mark Tabor Forum, and I walked into a rehearsal room and auditioned for Luis and Danny Valdez. And then I got a call back, and I was like, I'm not really interested. I didn't go to the call back.
You didn't. We have a photo, by the way, and then I want you to go on with the story. Show that photo, Abelardo. And you're on the left of, oh, not that one.
That's
Well,
from Stevenson Junior High School.
here we are. Now, where are you? Oh, there you are. Third
Yeah.
from the right.
Third from the right.
Well, and is that Bella Hernandez next to you?
Yes, that's Belle, and that's Diana Ortelli.
Yeah, and Alma Martinez on the far left.
Yes, and Betancourt. Yeah.
Oh, and Bencourt. Tell me about the audition process then. So you didn't even go to the callback.
So I didn't go to the callback because I was like, I just didn't know. I didn't realize what this was, or
How could you? Yeah.
mean or anything like that. I was into like the Chicano movement and Chicano theater, and I was doing it because of my politics, my belief in social justice and all of that. And so so then Idema again, I didn't go to the callback, and she calls me up. She goes, "Sister, man, what happened? You didn't show up to," she goes, "Luis and Danny Valdez are looking for you." I was like, oh, okay. So then I was so naive. I was like, I called the taper and I said, I was supposed to have a callback, but I didn't go. So can I still go? And then they said, yes, you can. And then so I went to the callback, and the next thing I know, I was playing the female lead, at the taper.
Unbelievable.
So it was a whole different show from, what Zoot Suit is today, because that was what was called the New Theater for Now.
Yes,
workshop.
right.
And
They used to
so-
have a festival, New Theater for Now festival.
And then you would rehearse for a short period of time and then just run for 10 days
Yeah.
on the stage. And so that's when, I went to that audition. They go, okay, great. Go into that next room, for a dance audition. So I went down the hall, and that's where I met Edward James Olmos. He was the person that they made me dance with. So Eddie and I,
when Eddie did the happy hour few, and I had never heard his audition story, and it was fascinating that he was clever. You were like, well, what is this? Who cares? He wanted to be in that show. And he, and he told the story. It was fascinating. It was like, and then I said I hadn't kept the sides, but I really had them. And I pretend like I was doing off the top, but I studied on. And he really focused, interesting.
yeah.
I mean, well, look, how could you know this?
Yes.
This
Yeah,
groundbreaking thing, how could you know what it was going to be? No one you did. Whatever.
No, I had no idea. Well, Eddie was already he was already an actor,
True.
going on auditions, doing
Yeah.
small roles on TV and everything. I was so removed from that reality, so I really didn't know what was happening. And then, I always thank Luis because he basically gave me the role because of the authenticity I brought to it, right?
No question. No question.
So being from East LA, knowing, who that girl was. And so, so I played the lead in the workshop version. And then when they did the main stage, they replaced me with Rose Portillo. And then they bumped me down to play the sister, Lupe. So then that's when it was on the main stage, when it went to the Aquarius and stuff, I played the sister Lupe, even though
Did you do New York? Did you go to New York?
No, I didn't go to New York because I was expecting my son.
That bum. Look at, he cost you, you could have been a big Broadway star.
People say that all the time. Oh,
It's funny you use that word about authenticity, and nothing, the revival was absolutely beautiful, but I kept saying, you cannot compare nobody's fault. It was wonderful, but you cannot compare to the original cast because they were all real Chicanos. They weren't plain Chicanos. They
Yeah.
were like you. They were authentic. They were the real deal. And
Yeah.
as wonderful as they are, you can't possibly, authentic is authentic. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I took Bob Mackey to see it, and he's sitting there watching it the whole time. And he turns to me at one time and he goes, they did not have polyester in the 40s. So he wanted authentic costumes. Just, they did not have polyester in the 40s. So authenticity, you can't beat it. You were all the real deal.
Yeah, Mike Gomez, Pepe Serna.
Yes, yes.
It was
Wow.
a deal for sure.
Now, let me ask you something, because of course you were clever to avoid the audition process by writing wonderful plays that had parts for you. Do you write it from the beginning, seeing you as this character, or are you writing and suddenly go, hey, I could play that? Or does it vary?
No, I definitely write for the actors in our company. So I write a character for Sal because I know he can sing. I know he can dance.
Sal can do anything. What is that new short film he did? That short film he did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, he's so gifted. He's amazing actor. Yeah, I see. So you write for Jeff and you write for Lucy.
Yeah.
And,
Wow. And but sometimes I write play, and now I'm starting to write more plays like with characters that we can't play anymore. If I keep writing plays for the company, I'll just be writing for a bunch of old people.
Yeah, the action takes place in an old age home in
exactly.
Senior citizens.
Yeah.
So now I do write roles that I don't know who is going to play them, but you do usually know when I'm going to play a role, or when Sal is going to play a role, or anybody.
Right. We have a couple of photos here. We have one of Samuel French, I think, Abelardo. Do we have that photo? Yeah, look at that. Samuel French, a Mexican. This is big.
Yeah, Mexican trilogy. Yeah. It was published by Samuel French because it won the LA State. What is
Drama
it?
Critic.
Oh yeah, the LA Drama Critics Circle Award.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so huge. They don't do it anymore, but when you win that award, you get published by Samuel French. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's been great. I mean, the Samuel French here closed down, but when it was open, they got a lot of people going in and asking about it, and we got to do a reading there at the old Samuel French and
on Sunset.
Yeah, it was great.
That was so sad when it closed down. We have a wonderful photo of one of the plays you wrote as well. I love this. There's Sal, Lucy, and Jeff, and of course you.
Yeah, that's the company. The ensemble. That's Premeditation. It's a play about male-female relationships, and it's about a woman where her husband is driving her nuts, so she hires a hitman to kill him. So
why not?
That's the play. And then the hitman asks, well, what is he doing that's driving you crazy, And he was expecting like some big reason, like he's cheated on her or something like that. And she's like, he leaves his underwear on the floor, or he throws wet towels on the bed, or that kind of thing. So we're actually doing a podcast of Premeditation that, we're going to start recording it next month. And so we'll let Abelardo know so he can let your audience know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, one of your plays, maybe more than one, but that became a film that Jose Luis directed, and that's Luminarias.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful film.
Yeah, that was an independent movie. I wrote Luminarias as a play I wrote it as a movie first, and then, nobody wanted to do it. Yeah. And I adapted it to the stage because Sal said, let's do it as a play. You know, Sal's always like giving me ideas. So, so we did it as a play, and then we did it as an independent film, which kind of like went all over the world to different, you know, theater festivals and won some international awards. And basically I wrote it because I was so tired of seeing, you know, the suffering Mexican mother,
Sure.
you know, and I just wanted to show the kind of women, Latinas that I knew, you know, who are like smart and, you know, passionate and sexy and, you know, all of that. So
You should do a series based on those characters. You could do that, could be a series. Maybe
Yeah.
the time is right now.
yeah, maybe. I mean, I do have a pilot. I do have a pilot of Luminarias that is called Tequila, Lemon, and Salt. And then, and I am also writing a pilot right now. I didn't mention about the trilogy. I'm writing a pilot for Imagine Entertainment based on a Mexican trilogy. Yeah. So that's,
Good.
yeah.
Well, so Luis, you of course directed that film and are an acclaimed director, staged. Where did that come from? How, you know, Gregory Nava told me how he decided he wanted to be a director. You always hear it from the actor, but who says when they're 10 years old, I want to be a director? Or where did this come from? Where this directing? Did you start as an actor and then discover directing, or what?
Started as an actor. When I met him, he was an actor. He was such a diva. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was an actor. But again, I was an actor who was doing it for political reasons, you know. So I was not a very good actor, really.
But he thought he was.
I thought I was, of course. I would never think otherwise. But I had a wife who was very sure to tell me I was not that good when I was on the stage. She goes, Coseli. No, I didn't think I was going to be a director. Really, I worked in Chicano theater since the beginning of the 70s. You know, all that, you know, I only work on el Teatro de la Gente in San Jose, and then in el Teatro de la Esperanza in Santa Barbara for 8 years, and el Teatro de la Gente, I think, for 4 or 6 years. So that was what I was doing. But in these theaters, and el Teatro de la Esperanza was a collective. So, you know, we directed, we acted.
Everybody did something. Everybody helped design the set.
He did everything.
Yeah. And when
but not to interrupt, but when did you come back from Mexico? Were you in theater down there at all, or you were very young when you?
I went to school. I went to school, you know, to be an actor, because I thought I wanted to be an actor, and I came to. I came to do my graduate school in San Jose State. In 1969. You know, I moved here in 1969 to go to grad school because I don't know, you probably know this, but in that time, when you were born in the United States and then you were living in Mexico, when you turn 18, they ask you to choose your citizenship. You either Mexican citizen or an American citizen. So my parents say, you have to make the decision, or do you want to go to grad school in the United States? You know, I was living in Mexico City. I went to university in Mexico City. And I say, well, that may be an adventure. I can go, you know, and see it. Never imagine it. You know, because my cousins will come every summer and their station wagon with the 501s, Levi's, the windbreakers, really cool. I never knew they were all farm workers. You know what I mean? I thought, hey, maybe cool. We were like middle class in Mexico. So when I came, and I didn't know anything about Chicanos, you know, there were so many Mexicans, and the Mexicans didn't speak Spanish. And, you know, I came from a major city into a small provincial town. It was very interesting for me. And then, when I was taking classes in San Jose State, the director of El Teatro de la Gente was teaching, and he asked me to do a monologue, and I sang a song. I say, I will sing a song for you. And then he said, I have a Chicano theater. Will you become a member? And then I became a member and I never left. Meaning I started working with them, and that was a full-time job in a Chicano theater. At the time, we were making $150 a month.
Woo!
You know, and but that's all we did. We went to the parks and travel and tour. And then I moved to Teatro El Esperanza because they were another theater company who had a lot of, meaning they were full-time. That's all we did, theater day and night, and perform, but very little salary. So when I met Evelina and we got together, meaning I asked her to move to Santa Barbara with me, because I was in Santa Barbara, and this is after
Zoot Suit.
After Zoot Suit. And she said, okay, for a year, and 4 years later, she goes, I'm going back to LA. Even if you wanna come or not, it's up to you, but I'm not staying. So I followed her, but I had never, like, we don't audition in a company, you know what role you're playing. So I couldn't be an actor in LA.
Yeah.
And, I was not good enough.
So he reinvented himself.
There you go. It works. I've done it 30, 40 times.
It works.
You've known at least 12 of them.
So that, but I had directed, in LA. I did go in Santa Barbara. I did, I directed not a lot, but I had directed. So when I came here, I say I wanted to be, I only started as a director. I did not want to be an actor or a writer. I say, I'm gonna direct plays, because as an actor, as you know this, because you acted too, you get directed and it's not that many good directors. And then you, oh my God, I can't do a better
That's true.
job. And as an actor, you go, I was talking to my son about that. I say, because he wants to be a director. And I say, I know the feeling, because you get directed and you go, I can do a better job. And so, and my performance is not as good because of the director, which is true many times.
It really is. It really is.
Funny though, Dan, is that Jose Luis, when we moved to LA, he stopped acting, right? Because, he wanted to direct. And so he became the director of the lab, and the rest is history. But I guess around maybe 3 or 4 years ago, my daughter, who's a beautiful actress.
Both your adult kids are wonderful. They're wonderful actors. They really are.
We think so too.
Yeah.
She was working on real people casting as her side job, because as actors you always have to have a side job, and so she was working on real people casting, and so she goes, Dad, there's a role for this older gentleman, and I think you'd be perfect for it, right? So a commercial, right? And then he goes, yeah, okay. And he went and auditioned, he booked it. And then there was another, like, what was the car one?
The Ford.
The Ford commercial. And then he went and auditioned, he booked it.
Then check commercial.
And then
I have done 4 auditions, and I booked the 4 of them.
Yes.
I love that story.
So his mentor from Norway, Stein Vinge, he's a director all his life, and then towards the end of his career, he started acting. Right?
When he retired, he started.
When he retired, he started acting. So everybody's like, okay, you're really following your mentor's path.
I think it will be great. He started acting, and he got cast in a television series, and he got nominated for an Emmy.
Oh my God. Life just drags you places sometimes you never even dreamed of.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I want to talk about Norway, because I know you directed internationally. We have a photo of you, first of all, in China. What are you are you there directing? Are you speaking? What is this? International master class on directing. Wow.
It's a master class in directing. They have, these are professional directors, Chinese directors, and they have this great academy. It's like Juilliard, the Juilliard of China, and it's in Shanghai, and they do this 10-day from different countries a year for every year. And I was invited to do a master class for all these great directors. And the guy who's next to me, he was one of my students who is a director in China right now at UCLA. And that's what I was doing. I was training directors, professional directors, who already do, they're very interested in knowing how in this part of the world do we use the art form in order to tell the stories that we tell.
And
Yeah.
are you, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mija.
No, it's very interesting that in China, because I whenever he goes, I go along for the ride. But in China, they're so interested in Western theater, right? And I'm like, what? You have such a beautiful, long tradition of theater in China, but I guess everybody's looking to the West, right? Everybody's looking to the West. They want to do like musicals, like American musicals, which, I don't get
Now,
it.
I love my musicals. Don't you start dissing
No,
musicals.
I love musicals too, Dan. But it's so interesting to me that they are so interested in them,
But let me ask you this, going a step further, because I was going to ask Jose Luis, do they take you there because you're a wonderful director, or does the idea that you are a Chicano and you made the choice to focus on those stories, is that part of the equation? Are they interested in Chicano culture? You're saying in Western theater. What about Chicano or Latino theater?
I've been trying to introduce the Chicano idea. No, they really take me because like that workshop, I did it with an Ibsen play, meaning I did not use a Chicano play to do. I was the head of the MFA directing program for 25 years at UCLA. And
Sure.
I had to use nothing but Western theater, like, Chekhov
And like you did in Norway, this looks spectacular. Abelardo, we have two fantastic photos. Peter, look at that. And the second, this is in Norway. Look, bring up the other one, Abelardo. Look at that. Tell us of this, Peter Gint, right? And this is in Norway?
This is Peer Gynt. This is in Norway. And this is an outside performances. This is, as you can see, the audience. They built they brought, they put chairs, like 300 seats for theater. They kind of built a theater for people to see the performance. It was sold out before we opened.
Like bleachers, not really bleachers, but what do you call bleachers that you put chairs on?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, see.
You know what I mean?
Risers, like risers with
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Thank you.
And this was my second time of doing Peer Gynt there in Norway. And Peer Gynt is the Bible. This is the Norwegian play, so people are very interested. What take do we have on it? And this is it has a lot of Chicano on it. A lot of images that I used were from who I am. So that was a very beautiful experience, as you can see. Because they have so much money,
And they support the theater. So like you're working, it's not like us, right? We're always struggling at our theater,
Right.
theater of color.
Sure.
But in Norway, they have all the resources. How long did you rehearse for?
3 months.
Oh my God.
I rehearsed 3 months. And the thing is, it's all subsidized.
Yeah.
They don't know about fundraising. There's none of that. The entire thing is subsidized.
So if you go to theater school and you graduate, when you come out of theater school in
You have
Norway,
a job.
you have a job
For life.
for life.
Let's move to Norway.
I know.
Believe me.
Wow.
You have a for life.
The weather's not great, but the social, economic, all that stuff is like awesome.
And they pay you very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Like 3 times what I will make here doing one play at the Marte Perform
Yeah.
for one show.
Yeah. But you also rehearse for 3 months.
Yeah, you rehearse for 3 months. Here you rehearse for 4 weeks. And Yeah, no,
It's like I produce and stage a lot at the Kennedy Center, and I love it, obviously, but the money stinks because they're a nonprofit. And it's a government. I'm like, hello. I mean, it's the Kennedy Center, but the money sucks. Who says no to doing something at the Kennedy Center? Of course you do.
Of course not. You can't.
But it is shocking how the arts, well, that's a whole other show.
Yeah,
But
that's a whole other discussion, but it's an important discussion, especially now. You know,
oh gosh, yes.
especially with what's going on in the country. And, you know, and the reality is that, you know, theaters of color, not just Chicano theaters like ours, or, you know, but also African-American theaters, Asian American, you know, they shouldn't have to be struggling to tell their stories, right?
Of course.
You
Well,
know,
that's why when you mentioned fundraising, I was going to say, I mean, it's hard enough to run a theater, and you're running, you know, 5 now. And I'll bet you more time is spent on fundraising than on the creative. I mean, it's horrifying. It's
For sure.
horrifying.
He spends most of his time raising money.
Yeah, probably 75% of my time is calling people like you, asking them for money.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's all I do. I really call everybody. You know, it's.
You
But
know,
that's-
it's like the love you have for theater, you know, because you don't do theater because you're going to make any money, or
That's right.
because
That's
you're
right.
going to become famous or whatever. You do it because you really love the art form.
But
Yes.
also the love to the community, because I don't
Right.
feel like, or at least the role that we play in the theater world is, it's much more important the role that we play in the community for our community. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like we're in a different place. It's not like I want my play, you know, to be on Broadway, so I'm gonna raise $100 million to spend it in one play for the rest of my life. I mean, I think it's more the role, I mean, the importance of having arts in the community, giving important, giving a place and a space to young people who need to be inspired. They're the future. They're going to take us somewhere else, meaning we are in a different place than we were when we were young. And if we have the means to help somebody else, so 50 years from now, the conversation and the narrative will be different.
Well,
may not be
and
here.
yeah, not only that, but our community has the right to see themselves and their stories on the stage, right? So that's what we fight for, right? On a daily basis. That's why he raises money. You know, it's like, it's all about, we're not the kind of theater that we're like, we're going to take this show to Broadway. You know, that's not who we are. We're about, hey, we're going to do a great show for our community and make it accessible to them, you know, so we cannot charge $65 a seat at our theater, you know, because for a working family, that's over $100 and they have to pay for parking and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's about a commitment to our community for sure.
And you feel it. I'm telling you, I'll go back to what I said is you walk into that lobby, you see all these great people you love, and because of our schedules and geography, we never get to see each other, but it's like a home to everybody. It's like a Times Square for Chicanos, you know. It's our meeting place. And
I love that.
I love that.
go for it. Go for it. Because it really is true. You know, I always say that LATC, I mean, I have such a long history. I've done my show there. I had my 75th birthday roast there.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a great affection for that space, and the two of you that have kept it going. And I can't tell how many times I say, how do they do it? Oh my God, how do they keep that place running? I can't even imagine. That's a huge operation.
It's a huge operation. But yes, you know, I was talking to somebody today and for a foundation. And, you know, the sad story, our budget is tiny. Our budget is little in comparison to the, you know, for the building we have, what we can do.
But if we were doing the same programming we do and our artistic director was white, we would probably have so much funding, right?
But my point is, even though we're the smallest, we have the largest budget of any Latino theater in the nation.
Wow.
Isn't that sad?
Wow.
Meaning, so it's really important to see the perspective, and so in our budget are little, and we have this amazing building, beautiful building, but I think all of it is because we have been able to have a company, like you say, like 5 people who worked so hard, and meaning we were volunteers. I had never until this year, but after I retired from UCLA, but I volunteered my time for 35 years as an artistic director. I didn't get 1 penny in salary to run the plays or to any of that.
Wow.
We all did it as volunteers for the 35 years. And that was the reason that we were able to, I think the company is the reason, and the community, meaning you were not paid to produce Noche de Risas y Susto. These were community efforts, every intent that we did when we created the Latino, remember, because you did this one too, when we went to the taper and do the Noche de Risa y Susto at the taper.
Oh yeah, we brought the whole Zoot Suit cast. Yeah.
Which was part of the Latino Theater Initiative that we created there. It's always been the idea that what we do has a goal to uplift our community, to enlighten our community, to give them the opportunity, and you help. Eddie was always supportive, Moctezuma Esparza was always supportive. I mean, the community itself has helped build this.
Yeah, we've had so much support from so many people, Gil Cedillo,
Gloria Molina.
Antonio
Castro de la Rocha is a big supporter.
Antonio Vieragosa, so
but it's
many.
because they believe in your vision, they believe in your mission, and it all goes back to who the two of you are. The people that you are, people love you and they want to support you and they want to help you. They do.
Maria Elena Durazo had made
Maria Elena Durazo, she's like
champion for us,
champion for us. Gloria Molina has been a champion so many times
for so long,
I mean, so many people. We're probably not naming, the majority of them, but that's the thing. It's like, we're not just theater people, but we're also community people. So we have connections we have connections in Hollywood, but we also have connections in the community,
Sure.
With elected politicians who were not elected politicians when we met them. But
that's right. That's right.
They are.
That's the cool thing, people that you knew as a kid, and now they're the CEO here or they're there, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And through all this madness, you have, not only do you have a beautiful marriage, but such a wonderful family. And I love this photo. So look at that. Look at that. I love that. Your new abuelitos, right? Your new
Yes, this is our grandson, Rio. His name is Rio John Guay.
Wow.
So he's Mexican and Chinese.
Get him a therapist immediately.
and Australian.
Oh, well, really get him. How fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, don't go away. I want to see that picture. Can you bring it back, Abelardo? Because America, Fidel, your son and daughter.
Yeah, my son Fidel up on the left of the screen. He's an amazing actor and
director.
And also our daughter Esperanza America, our son-in-law Robert Ravel, and my mom Esperanza.
Yes.
Who you can't tell it right now, but she has severe dementia and and she's the storyteller of our family, right? So now she just losing those stories,
Oh,
which I always try to put on the screen. I mean, on the stage.
yeah.
Now I'm starting to put them on the screen, but yeah.
That is so wonderful. I've loved this so much. I think we have some questions. Is there anything else you want to say before we start looking at some Q&A here?
No, thank you, Dan, for having us. This has been so much fun.
It's fun, right? And you know what's wonderful? These stories are preserved forever on YouTube and the archives, and people will be able to learn your story and hear your thoughts on theater. And that's why this is important. They're fun, but I think historically, the stories from Dolores Huerta and from all those people, because let's face it, it's not that often that you get an interview of an hour or over. You know, you do segments or 10 minutes, but you really get to tell your story, and they're preserved here. So I thank you so much for doing this. What do we have picture-wise, question-wise here?
Well, that was a fabulous conversation. Thank you for sharing your just some of your life story and your successes on the stage, and all the work that you've done for our community. We have a few questions and a lot of shout outs. We'll start with the questions first from Lisa Montes Tan. How do you maximize your wellness? We want you to live forever.
Well, you know, this pandemic has made us focus a little bit more on our wellness, right? And so we walk every day, we walk every morning. And as I know Dan does too.
I mean to, does that count?
We've been, you know, dabbling in meditation, you know, to I'm really want to get back at it. We started at the beginning, you know, you start the pandemic going, you know what, this gives us an opportunity to do blah, blah, blah. And then as it lasted so long, you know, and then you start going, oh my God, I'm so sick of this shit. I just want to get out of my house. And so we haven't been doing the meditation, but I'm determined to get back to that.
But I think what's important to say about this, you know, we started this year and the pre-planning for the succession plan. This is really important.
Oh yeah, for the theater.
Okay, we're doing a whole 5-year succession plan and choosing new members for the company.
Oh.
And choosing new people to replace me and to be the artistic director of the Latino Theatre Company.
5 years.
So we are making this in a very strategic way, because historically, and this is very sad, but we all know this story, when the founders of an organization of color passes away or retires, the organization dies. And this is not about us, this is about the community and how important the LATC and the Latino Theatre Company is for the community, that it's important that the next generation takes it on.
And they keep on going.
And then they can build
telling
on it,
our stories.
and then we will take 5 years to train, to give our knowledge, to say this is the way to do it, take it on, you know, not only say we're leaving, good luck. No, so right now we're beginning that process, and it's very, very exciting.
And then after that, we're moving to an island in Mexico.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Save me a shack there.
Okay.
we will, because the idea is to move to the island and create a creative center where our friends can come and spend time to work in a project, to do whatever they
Or
want.
fly on the beach if you want.
Yes, yes. Well, look at Eddie Dominguez and Robert Hildemontes.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they've got their restaurant, and it's there's art on the walls, and it changes. And they do performance pieces, and you know, they're not on the 405.
They're living the life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that sounds great. That sounds great. Wow.
Right. Well, we have another one from Cosette Muñatones. She's asking, well, first of all, needless to say, the pandemic has been especially devastating to the arts. Any LATC virtual programming? And when can we expect live performances?
Yes, we are beginning, we have, right now we're doing conversations, but in relationship, like we did one with the Asian community. We're going to have one about immigration and, just conversation about what's affecting the community. And we're doing a podcast, like Evelina said, we are going to do a podcast on premeditation. And also we are doing a digital encuentro in the fall. But that's going to be a national theater festival that's going to bring Latino theater companies from around the country, and performances and discussions and panels and workshops and everything. And that's going to be in November. And that's what we're working towards. We are not planning to have any live performances until the spring of 2022.
Oh, but if we can, we're going to do La Virgen at the cathedral that we do every year. If we can, we don't know what's going to happen, if the cathedral's going to, be able to have an audience, but if we can, that'll be the first thing we do live.
It's possible by that time. My New York Broadway friends, they're already planning doing contracts for November, December on Broadway, which seems
so
strange
maybe
to me. So yeah.
And then we'll do live performances in the spring.
Yeah.
We
had
had
I saw Rosalba Rolon was doing a conversation or something for you, right?
We're doing a conversation. This is all about talking to theater companies and asking them, how are we surviving? How are we doing through the pandemic? How is our finances? How is our programming? What are the plans for the future? So we have one with Rosalba Rolon, who is from Pregones.
They've had the Pregones here in the Bronx for a long time. I adore her. I love her. Everybody loves her.
Then she took over Miriam Colon's theater.
That's right. That's right. Puerto Rican traveling
theater. So they have 2 theaters now. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And so the next one is going to be with David Lozano from Caramia, which is a theater company in Texas, and Patricia Amos, who's working with the San Diego Rep. Amon, who's, these are conversations that are important for the field, for the people who are doing theater, people who are knowing the community, to know how are we,
and share ideas and get ideas that, hey, that could work for us if we did this.
All of this is so important. Like these conversations, for example, Dan, right? These conversations that you're having, they're kind of historical, right? Because they're gonna be available for generations to come. Right. So the same thing, these conversations that we're having with theater makers, Latinx theater makers throughout the country, it's like, it's the same thing. If we don't tell our stories, if we don't document our history, all of that, who will? It's really our responsibility to do it for future generations.
Definitely.
And where can people find these podcasts and other information about the LA Theater Center and Latino Theater Company?
Our website, the latc.org, well, it's going to be the latinotheatercompany.org right now. We still in trying to, the LATC, we were born there. It was with Dorem, the LATC organization.
But it's a building.
But that is a building. It's only the building. We, the Latino Theatre Company, is the organization that happens everything that happens inside that building. And we're trying to rebrand. So people don't think that we are the LATC. We are the LATC, but the LATC is only the building. We are the Latino Theatre Company, programming, managing, operating, creating the life of that building. So we're trying. So right now they're working on the website to rebrand.
We're going to rebrand. So because people say the LATC, and we have the company, we have our staff who work so hard. It's a small staff of like, how many people?
14 or so.
14 people, who Abelardo's daughter-in-law is part of. and they work so hard, but they're working for the Latino Theatre Company, but everybody says the LATC, the LATC.
Yeah,
So we're trying to, anyway, for right now, it's the latc.org is where people can find the information, or go on Facebook, the Latino Theatre Company, or the Los Angeles Theater Center.
And they live on Facebook right now, the conversations, the podcasts, all of it.
Yeah, all of
They,
them.
on YouTube, they can find them on YouTube.
They live on YouTube also.
Okay, great. Well, I posted on the chat and also on the comment section on our Facebook and Zoom, thelatc.org, and also your Facebook page, which I guess is the start of your rebranding, the Latino Theatre Company at the LATC. So I recommend everybody urgent to please follow the pages so you could keep up to date on what's going on at the Latino Theatre Company at the LATC.
Thank you, Abelardo.
You know,
right.
I'll tell you something that we haven't put it, just because it's Dan. We haven't, because we love you so much.
Because when we're with Dan, I don't know, we just want to be chisme or
No,
like.
but we have a new initiative that we haven't launched publicly, and the media or anything, but you will know. We created a new initiative called the Circle of Imaginistas. We are commissioning 10 playwrights to write. It's a 5-year initiative. And we're beginning to this year, we're going to commission 10 playwrights to write Latino stories, to be able to use in the different platforms. And these are talking about established playwrights, up and coming playwrights, Afro-Latino playwrights. I mean, we are so excited. We probably won't do the press release until 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, but I think it's important for you to know that this is an amazing initiative for Latino theater and for Los Angeles, of course, but Latino theater just nationally, I think it's really, really exciting.
bravo. But we got a scoop, Abelardo. We got.
That's right. You heard it here first on En Casa con la Plaza, Dan Guerrero Happy Hour, groundbreaking as usual. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And let's give a shout out to just a few of the people who joined us here. Lucia Mencoda, she remembers watching Solitud years ago.
Oh, nice.
Eli Cosio, he says, how exciting, mucho que contar con todo lo que ha pasado últimamente.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. We have Pablo Becerra joining us from LA, Blanca Conejo, love you, Evelina and Jose Luis.
Aww.
Victor Griego remembers that little talk about such a diva. Isabel Rojas Williams, beloved icons, Evelina and Jose Luis.
Aww.
And Diana Ortelli, dos chingones.
We love Diana.
We love Diana, man.
Diana.
My sister.
That's a character, Diana. We've had some good times. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to go back and kiss people in that damn lobby.
Yes, yes. We can't wait to kiss you too.
You look amazing. I love you.
Not bad.
You look
I'm
great.
80. I'm 80. Can you believe it?
You look
So,
fabulous.
when did you do your 80th party?
I sat on my terrace with a bunch of balloons and people sent gifts. It was very quiet.
When we open, we have to celebrate
Let's do it,
your
Dan.
80th
Yeah.
birthday.
Let's
Dan.
do
Right?
Yeah.
We should. That was a milestone, but it had to be quiet, So yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Okay.
Look
Thank
great.
you both. I love you.
Bye,
Bye, Abelardo.
We love
All right,
you.
goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Before all of you leave out there, please, if you missed part of this program, if you want to see it again, it
Here's
stays
to
on our
ya.
Facebook
Here's
page.
to ya.
All right,
Salud.
let's do screenshot here. Hold on. Let me get my drink too. A ver. All right, salud.
Salud.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
bye. All right. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us on En Casa con la Plaza tonight. Dan Guerrero Happy Hour, bringing the happy every other week here on En Casa con la Plaza. Let's see if you didn't catch the session or if you want the entire session, you want to see it again, it lives on our Facebook page. It will also be going on our YouTube and our webpage, lapca.org. Thanks again to our sponsors, Kaiser Permanente and PepsiCo. Big news, if you haven't already heard, La Plaza de Cultura y Artes has reopened. Yes, we have. Of course, minimum capacity, we're at 50% right now. All the health and safety measures that you could imagine. You need to make reservations. Please go to our website, lapca.org. Click on the first button you see there. Make your reservation, fill out a health questionnaire. We'll take your temperature. We'll make sure you're wearing your mask. We have attendants to help guide you through the galleries so you can see our two pretty much brand new shows, Carlos Almaraz, and also Afro Latinidad, Mi Casa, My City. That's it for now. Come to our YouTube page. You can see all of Dan Guerrero's happy hours that with, as he said, Ed James Olmos, Quesadilla, some fabulous conversations that we've had. Also, tomorrow, a special En Familia con la Plaza, which is our family workshops that we have every Saturday on our YouTube. But tomorrow it'll be live, and you could catch it on Zoom. So you could go right now to our Facebook page and to our website, and you could register to see it on Zoom at 10 o'clock, or you could watch it on Facebook Live as well at 10 o'clock tomorrow. That's our special 10-year anniversary En Familia con la Plaza. Tomorrow, what is it? The 16th, April 16th, 2011 was the day that La Plaza de Cultura, excuse me, opened to the public. So happy anniversary to us. Happy anniversary to all of you. Please join in next week, starting Monday with our En Casa con la Plaza. Let's see who we have. Chef Ricardo Pablo Vega from Moderno Cocina on the Monday, April 19th at 3 o'clock. Doctora Veronica Almada. We're going to demonstrate some incredible technology that we're possibly going to be bringing over to the La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, a robot. And also on Friday, April 23rd, our good friend Beto Arcos rejoins us with Lupita Infante, who is the granddaughter of the great Pedro Infante. We'll be talking about her musical legacy. So thank you so much to everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Buenas noches. Nos vemos muy pronto. Bye-bye.